Good morning, dear students. Today we will discuss our worksheet 51 from your chapter Hereditary and Evolution. And as you already know that we are doing this worksheet and we are studying about the Mendel's experiment. So in this worksheet we will do the Mendel's law of dominance and law of segregation on the basis of its experiment and monohybrid cross. Okay, so what Mendel did, Mendel used the pea plant of pure breeding for the trait and consider the contrasting characters, right? He used the pea plant of contrasting characters but taking pure breeding. Okay, it he crossed the plant with the contrasting character and studied the progeny of the first generation and the second generation and calculated the ratio of the plant for their contrasting characters. Okay, so what he did in his experiment, Mendel with uh, in his experiment, he actually showed that how the hereditary or how the parents pass their characteristics to their offsprings. Mendel noticed that the plant in his garden were the not the blend of all of their parents. Means what? All the tall plant and the short plant, if they cross with each other, they are not having the height, medium height, but they all are tall, right? So he concluded according to this and start further studying about all the characteristics. Means he decided to experiment with the pea plant. Out of the characteristics inherited, the Mendel experiment almost 30,000 pea plant over the next several years. And based on his experiment, he formulated the some laws which are very important in studying about the hereditary and inheritance. Means what? First of all, he took the example. First of all, for your he took the example of its contrasting character of pea plant having the violet flower as well as the true breeding of white flower. Let's say and write the violet flower with capital V and white flower with small v, right? And if we take the resulting of this hybrid of F1 generation, then we have this FV crossed with this we cross with this, right? This we cross with this, and this we crossed with this. Okay, so this is the F1 generation, and all of them have the violet color flower. Okay, which color flower? Violet color flower. Then this F1 generation crossed self uh, they made a self crossed, so it will like V and V, this V, small v, this small v and capital V, and this small and small v. So these three have the capital V, so they are of violet color, and this is the pure breed having the white color flower. So the ratio is 3:1. Likewise, means when he took the plant and were cross pollinated with the true breeding of white flower and the violet flower and the white flower, the resulting hybrid of F1 generation all are white flower. After self pollinating, after self pollination of F2 generation, 3/4 of the plant has violet flower while 1/4 had the white flower. Okay, so approximately the ratio was 3:1. And on the basis of this study, okay, even he took another example of tall plant and short plant. from his garden. When he made them crossed, they both are pure breed of tall and dwarf plant, right? When he made crossed, then he get F1 generation. They are parents, and F1 generation, they have this F T T, this T along with this, and this we have T T, again this T and T, and this we have T and T. This is F1 generation with all tall plants, right? And when he take this F1 generation and made self-pollinating, then F2 generation has T and T. True breeding, this T and T hybrid, this T and T again hybrid, and this T and T again true. So it is in the ratio of these three are tall and this one is dwarf. This is phenotype ratio. And genotypically it has this true breeding, this one is tall, two breed, and these two are hybrids, so two hybrid and one is pure, so this is genotypic ratio, right? So on the basis of this, he made his calculation, he made his observation and gave the law of dominance and law of segregation. Means what? Mendel law of dominance state that in heterozygous means when we have these two, these are homozygous, they both are homozygous, and this is kind of heterozygous zygote. So Mendel gave the law of dominance state that in heterozygous, when two chromosomes in the homologous pair are different, one is dominant and other is recessive, one trait will conceal the presence of other trait. One trait is dominate the other trait, okay, for the same characteristics. Rather than both allele contributing to phenotype, the dominant allele will express exclusively, as I have shown you in this case of tall and short plant. The recessive allele will remain silent, but it will transmit to the offspring by the same manner in which the dominant allele transmitted, and their recessive trait will only be expressed by the offspring that have two copies of these alleles. As I told you, this is the same homozygous case, okay. These offsprings will breed true when they are self crossed. So what are dominant traits? The trait which express itself during the F1 generation, for example round seed, violet flower, as well as tall plants. Recessive, those traits which are masked by, hidden by the presence of dominant allele, for example wrinkle seed, white color flower, as well as dwarf plants, right? This is the law of dominance. Next, law of segregation in case of monohybrid cross, as we have already studied. Mendel gave that the trait which were absent in the F1 generation had reappeared in F2 generation. Please remember this T, T and T, T and T and T. These are recessive traits, but they are not expressed in F1 generation, but they reappear in case of F2 generation. Okay, so this law explains the pair of alleles segregate from each other during gamete formation so that one allele will present in each gamete. So Mendel proposed that this law, after observing that pea plant with the two different traits produce the offspring with the express which that all express the dominant trait, but following generation express the dominant trait recessive trait in the ratio of 3:1 phenotypically. This is phenotypic ratio, and 1:2:1 genotypically, right? So this is all about your worksheet. Let's do practice exercise. What are dominant and recessive allele? You can answer this question from here. The trait which express itself during the F1 generation, for example, round and all, and the trait which has marks by the presence of, so answer of your first question. Draw the sketch from the monohybrid cross. This you can do from your support material very easily. It's there been means for monohybrid cross we have, see, parent generation, we have all tall plant crossed with short plant. Okay, it can be written like these are the true breeds. So you can write the F1 generation, we have TT, all are tall, and when this crossed with each other, cell pollination is there, so we will get F2 generation with T and T, T and T, T and T, and T and T. These three are tall and one is dwarf. This is phenotypic, which we can see with our eyes. And genotype means pure. Pure is this, 1, 2 are hybrids, and 1 is pure. So this is genotypic ratio, genotype ratio. So next we have what is defined heterozygous. So you can write the answer from here. This is the answer of this question. And last, a trait may be inherited but may not be expressed. Justify your statement with the help of an example. Yes, a trait can be expressed, but a trait can be inherited but not expressed. You can write the answer from here on the basis of this monohybrid cross and give the example as I told you about this. You can take the example of this, write and answer this question that that the trait which were absent in F1 generation reappeared in F2 generation. This is, you can write the answer from here, right? This is the answer of your 4 question along with the example of this, or maybe you can give the example of this violet and white colored flower. So this is all about your today's worksheet. I hope you understand it very well. So do like video, share with your friends, and subscribe the channel. Thank you students. Have a nice day.